Have you met those super dramatic people? I'm Christy Birchville, and we're looking today in Jonah. We're in chapter 1, looking at verses 7 through 12. We've been going through the book of Jonah, and we're taking it just a few verses at a time so we can really understand the story and kind of understand the significance of all the things that Jonah went through. If you've missed any of the previous sessions, there's a link in the description below so that you can go back and check that out. But talking about that dramatic person, you know the people where the smallest detail is completely blown out of proportion. The people where everything in their life is a huge deal and it's super important and it's got to happen right now. Have you ever tried to give advice to people like that? I have. They'll tell me about all these massive issues and problems and things that they're having. And I'm like, well, hey, have you thought about doing this? Or have you thought about doing that? You see, it doesn't ever work, unfortunately. Giving advice to people who really live for that drama doesn't work because they don't really want to get rid of the drama. They're not trying to improve their situation. They kind of feed off that drama and the chaos that it creates. They're not really interested in your advice. They don't really work to make things better. They just end up with a lot of drama. Enter Jonah. So we've been talking about Jonah, okay? The captain told him, you should pray to your God. Perhaps he will hear our prayer and he will make things better. Jonah's a prophet. He knows he should talk to God. What does Jonah do? Is there any praying involved? Yeah, no. Does he reach out to God? Nope. Does he repent? Try to come back to God or appeal to God? No, none of that. Jonah doesn't do any of those things, even though people told him to. Instead, he just sort of throws up his hands and says, just kill me instead. Throw me into the sea. Think about that for a minute. Jonah has just said, hey, it would be better if I was dead than for me to repent and do what God told me to do. I would rather be dead than be obedient. Think about that statement. How many times, though, even though that seems incredibly harsh and really overdramatic, how many times does that describe us in our lives? Would we rather hang on to our sin and keep doing what we think we want to do instead of coming to God and repenting? This is really just about an issue of addressing Jonah's disobedience. If he would have repented to God, it would have all gone right. We'll see that later. God has to keep bringing trial after trial after trial after trial until Jonah is basically at his wit's end and he's like, all right, fine, I repent. And at that point, God puts everything back as it was and makes everything thing, and Jonah's able to continue on his journey to go do what God told him to do in the first place. How many hurdles and obstacles does God have to put in our way before we're willing to repent? Or are we just going to be like, I'd rather be dead than be obedient? Don't be that person. Make sure that we are not so invested in our sin that we're not willing to repent. Come to God. There's nothing in this life that is worth our continued disobedience. Repent and allow God to change us. Make sure you subscribe. You don't want to miss any of this series as we continue through, and I will see you tomorrow. Thanks.